Hi friends, host Eric here, host of Talking with Fans People, and the guy with all the important things, like a penis, my face, everything you need in life to really be important. I've got it right here with me. And tonight, I'm intending to answer questions about defensible typology from anybody, be they a member or not. And if people come in with such questions, I will answer them. I don't plan on this being a super long live stream. I don't have a whole lot to talk about. I plan to go to bed pretty soon. But I guess there were a few things I wanted to talk about. A lot of stuff happened today that was jarring to me. Not necessarily bad, but significant. And my FI is a little bit rumbly at the moment. Probably the real reason I started the stream, but it's like, it's hard for me to constrain those class videos down to the right length and right amount of information. And as you see in that, like, 45 minutes, if you're a member, you'll know today's video is about 45 minutes. And it's like, as I was making it, I was just sort of going seat of the pants as to what the right length of it is. And it landed on, as did the first one, on about 45 minutes to 55 minutes. Because I guess that's what I'm used to in teaching classes in regular school settings, you get about that much time. But it's at least twice too long, twice as much time as you want for a video. So the fact that it's a video class is kind of significant, and I need to factor that in when making those videos. The video is too long and dense for me to really enjoy watching it. It is supposed to be a class, so it's not a deal killer that it be somewhat dense and involve somewhat laborious kind of attention. Hi, Winston's mom. How are you today? But I'd like those videos to be both educational and entertaining, or at least structured time length-wise, such that it doesn't ask too much of the student's attention. I mean, sure, a student could pause a video halfway through and return to it later, but who wants to have to do that TE for themselves, right? They'd rather just know that the teacher they're in good hands with a teacher who understands how much direct academic attention a person can really point at something before the returns get diminishing or even counterproductive, So, I don't know if there are going to be any cuers to elicit my B's. B just stands for Banser. It's the next generation of answer. It's like, we here Talking with Fans People one day realized we have been stuck in the doldrums of Q&A for decades, it seems. It's time to take it to the next level. Let's introduce the concept of Q and B. Granted, Q and B is still in beta. Still in beta. Hi, Fett. Good evening, Senior Fett. Or do you prefer Don Fett? Do you consider yourself a Spaniard with a ranch in Mexico? I do. I consider you that. Boba Fett is a Spaniard named Don Fett who lives in Mexico and has essentially converted the Indians into indentured servants. No, not the Indians from India. South American Indians. Oh, sure, you might say, why not simply call them South Americans? Well, because they're not a very continentally minded people. They don't identify with their continent, you know. They feel offended when people say, hey, you're South American. They say, I don't identify with my continent. Okay, I identify as being from the continent of Asia. And I need you to respect my continental pronouns. You can use Asian, of Asian descent. Don't use Asian Pacific Islander because I wasn't born in that part of Asia. You can call me Asiatic. You can call me of the Orient, but you can't call me Oriental. Or you can call me Ting Tong Ling Long. Any of those is fine. Q and B is just the next level of Q&A. Gen 2 Q&A. Q&A Gen 2. Generation. Gen stands for Generation 2. So yeah, I had a lot of kind of things happen today. So I started off the day being responsible and getting that class done and getting it published. And it's like I almost immediately forgot that I had gotten that done, which is actually quite gratifying if I think about it. Like I made good use of time to get stuff done on things that mattered, right? So I spent some work on that. We watched some more alone, and I recorded what we were watching to clip out of again. But I think I want to approach those alone videos a little bit differently. Take just a couple of clips and I mean, I could find the time. The thing is, if you want me to click your timestamps in general, I click every timestamp that's put in a comment. And it because it's almost always like lol and then a timestamp, and I want to see what joke I made that person thought was good, or I want to hear what I said that person thought was insightful. I guess it doesn't really happen, but every once in a while somebody might timestamp something I said. It happens every once in a while. Timestamp something I said to establish that I'm wrong about something, and I click those too because I'm skeptical. And sometimes I find out that I was wrong or I misspoke or something. I click timestamps, but listen, Bob, what I'm telling you is I click timestamps that are left in comments. I don't click timestamps in the chat because they don't have timestamps. Like, when you put that there, it doesn't turn into a link. You know what I'm saying? You got hit by a CME, which means come on my elephant. Is that what it means? A cyclone meets earthquake? Because the ones that are timestamped in the chat don't turn into clickable links. Is why. So it's not an inherent prejudice against the chat. It's just they never turn blue for me. And that's the only way I know something's been asphyxiated enough for me to click it. It's true in all manners of things. Are you telling me the sun's shooting ejaculate into the universe again? It's going through puberty. That's why Boba Fett. That's why he's always got himself locked in the solar bathroom. That's kind of an important question. Where does the sun go to the bathroom and when? Is the sun embarrassed to go to the bathroom in front of us? Is that why we never see it go to the bathroom? Interesting question. Apparently, the sun only either has one outfit or multiple versions of the same outfit, which he changes into every day. My question is, in the former, does he wash it every day, or is it just filthy all the time? In the latter instance, how often does he do laundry? Important questions. And remember the other important thing to note. There's been an inherent astronomical bias that's bothered me for quite a long time. Namely, you hear a lot about the dark side of the moon, but nobody ever talks about the dark side of the sun. Now, that's pretty suspicious and suggests there may be some sort of conspiratorial cover-up going on. People who work for solar panel industries obviously have a vested interest in pretending as though the sun doesn't have a dark side. But what we can all conclude is that if the moon has a dark side, then the sun must also have a dark side. If it wasn't being covered up, it seems like it would probably be a pretty good place to land a spaceship. Obviously, you can't land on the hot side of the moon, the sun, the light side of the sun. But the dark side of the sun, despite being heated from behind by the light side of the sun, well, I suspect in the freezing vacuum of space, it ends up being a wash, and it's a pleasant 72, although constantly in the shade. That's my guess. Now, granted, there's not any oxygen there, except the oxygen you bring with you. But if you can find a good safe spot in the dark side of the sun, and you could drill through that spot, you could pour water in there, create steam, and potentially end up with basically a sauna atmosphere for one half of the sun, and we could go live there. or at least go hang out there after we've been skiing. So, if Elon Musk were really such a genius, why hasn't he explored these possibilities? Why hasn't he talked about settling on the dark side of the sun? It's like, where's our creativity here? Hi, Rachel, darling. My precious wonder. So yeah, things that were happening today that caused me to kind of shift gears from handle mode to kind of like emotional mode. One such thing was a thing I talked about first, which is I made that class thing. I pushed through, got it done. Wasn't thrilled with the outcome of it, because it seemed too dense, too TI. I mean, it's like, if I saw it as a class that was a conventional class, I'd think, wow, that's a really great class. But things are a little different on YouTube. It needs to not just be a good class, it also needs to be a good video. And that means it can't be too boring. Hi, Ludafe. So okay, right. Things that happened today. So after that morning thing, which left a little bit of a distaste in my mouth because it's not like that video wasn't good. I think it was good. It was a good class. It covered a lot of information, but I feel like I'm being a little overwhelmed by the amount of material I want to cover. I need to constrain myself a bit and not try to explain, not try to do too much pre-work before getting into the meat of it. I'd like to see the slides. I'd like to see more slides per talking. So if I am going to convey all that information, I'd like there to be, instead of having like 5 things on one picture, just one thing on each of 5 pictures. That's one of the things I'm going to try to do to make it move a little bit more quickly, be more consumable from an attention perspective, and just generally be a better teacher, because it's always been like this professionally. I expect myself to be really good, and when I'm not, I'm disappointed in myself. How did you get to be green? What does green mean? It's a color, Eric. It's kind of a weird question to ask. I mean, I know what the word green means. I'm saying, in this context, does it mean that Lou has a spirit of Christmas within her heart? Oh, member but not mod. Oh. Well, I mean, I can't possibly trust that woman to be a moderator. She's a loose cannon, I tell you. She's a wild dog of a loose cannon. If I handed her the wrench, she'd loosen all the lug nuts on everybody's car. She's a wild, wild, wild woman. She's the kind of girl who starts bar fights and banker bars and heads to school. And after she's done with banker bars, she starts fighting some biker bars. She's cool, cruel, mean, tough. Ooh. Can't trust her with a wrench. This is pure irony because I absolutely can and do trust Lupe with a wrench. I just don't feel any particular impetus to give her one except to sort of officially recognize that reality that she is entirely entitled to one and deserves one. But I don't know. It's like we don't really need more moderators. It's a mixed social bag. It's got some candy in it, and it's got a little poo in there too. As long as you keep the poo and the candy separate, you can still eat the candy, but you let them touch each other, and you're not going to want to eat the candy anymore. Wrench aspirational OL? What's OL? Are you saying you want one? If you want one, I'll give you one right now. But see, now you don't want to be put in that position where you say, yes, I want one, or no, I don't want one. You don't want to be put in that position. If I was going to give you one, I should have just given you one and not said anything. Now everything's difficult and socially complicated, right? Okay. You certainly have good claim to one. Don't you abuse it now. Don't you start smacking people around. Didn't I give you one before and you had it taken taken away from you? You know, among the aristocrats, like Don Fett of the Spanish nobility, there are some who are quite physical in their approach to the world. Quite, you might call them stern, violent men. I'm not sure if Don Fett qualifies as such, but you may have metaphorically demonstrated such at some point in the past. It's possible. It's not impossible. Oscar Lima. Why are you not included in our email chain link pins? Pyramid Recalling Network line. Want to play with us then? Whereby? Who's Mia? Who's Oscar Lina? Oh, you mean Oscar Linehan. Oscar's a hand, not a lima bean. You got his name all wrong. Now everybody's going to tease him, calling him Lima Bean, and it's all going to be your fault. Thanks a lot. You know, things like that have a math to them. The ability to communicate with a group meaningfully, even in this context, still has this curve to it in terms of how engagement plays out, right? If you're in too large of a group, then it needs to meaningfully split into smaller groups to sustain a conversation in which everybody can participate, right? So those kind of things are complicated. They're as complicated as complications you encounter when complicating things that are already too complicated. That's how complicated it is. Well, you know what, Boba Fett? I just gave you the YouTube equivalent of a handgun. So you better be careful with it. Sure, it's going to make you feel powerful, manly, full of rocks in your pants and logs in your pants. The front pants. God damn it. Push the wrong meow. When you push the wrong meow, how would you wrong meow the thing if you wanted to wrong meow? Could you wrong meow? Yes, even you could always wrong meow. If you simply wrong your meow meow, then you can be as wrong in your meow as the wrongest meowing meow. Who's the wrongest meowing meow? The one who wrongs the most meows. Oh, Jeffrey Lou. I feel so lucky. Because, like, you know, you just joined YouTube like a week ago. And I guess I was wrong about YouTube and its relationship with my videos, because it's obviously working hard to find me new people to watch my videos. I mean, after all, you've only been here a week and you've already found my live stream. It's simply remarkable. Yeah. So how's your first week ever on YouTube been? I'm your only subscription. Interesting. Well, thanks a lot for subscribing, because I absolutely love it when brand new people make me their first subscription, because that way you really know that, you know, they're a real person who's actually serious about engaging with you. Otherwise, why would they prioritize you so high in their initial week on YouTube? It's remarkable. Yeah. Yeah, you know, that's great. I'm glad that you got on YouTube and it took you straight to me and you just fell right in love with it. And who can blame you? It's just all so brilliant. I sure hope you become a member. I sure do. Because, you know, the reason we here at TWF PBS can continue on with our important mission is thanks to generous donations from the Chevron Corporation, Brand, and viewers like you. Minus the first two things. The Rand Corporation. I want something from the Rand Corporation. What do they even make? I want to buy things that are from the Rand Corporation, because there's a lot of interesting conspiracies about the Rand Corporation. The first one, obviously, being, was their originator unaware that the past tense of run is ran? Does that account for the extra D? Possibly. Were they trying to call themselves the And Corporation, but somebody accidentally dropped an R onto the paper? Possibly. Was it actually backwards? Were they supposed to be the Dinar Corporation? We may never know. And that's why I've sent Name Detective Etta Molly G. Etta Molly G is my name detective, and I've sent her back in time to find out everything she needs to know about all the big names, all the words that are important, everything that's amazing. Oh, well, Q and B is the next gen of Q and A. So because it's the next gen, that makes it better. Just like today's version of Eric is even more delightful and charming than yesterday's version. And it's not because I try to improve myself every day. It's because I don't try to improve myself. And that's sweet. Sometimes I say, hey Eric, you should get some work done. And then I do, and I think, good job, Eric. You got some work done. That's pretty remarkable stuff because, you're actually doing quite a bit of work here. It's actually quite a lot of work I'm doing. And when it's more work-like, I'm more aware of that, When it's more play-like, I feel less okay. A little bit more like I'm just being a little too flaky. But I've been pleased with my works lately. The quality of the specific work and the quantity of the work being made as well, both. And at the same time, I know that this is a time of flux. There's a long period of time in which I talked about this time eventually coming and said that it would align at some point with a death, probably. And more or less, it did align with my cousin Julie's death. It kind of broke a log jam of slabular flow, and I proceeded into the next chapter of things. So, part of that manifests as being a lot more purposeful about what I'm doing on YouTube. Part of that manifests as this other thing that happened today that was quite impactful to me emotionally, which was working with Jeffrey and Jeffrey's mom on this history paper, because this history paper, I have told them from the beginning that they need to approach it in way X. And way Y is Jeffrey's mom's default approach, which is the way to do something well is to try to figure out what the judge wants, remember the judge, in this case the teacher, and imitate an example of what the judge thinks is good. Now, this is a terrible idea across the board for many, many reasons. For one thing, it doesn't. It doesn't. I don't remember. I lost my train of thought. So I see there not been any cues about defensive typology stuff. So as a consequence, I'm not going to have any bees. If I don't have any bees, I won't have any honey. Wait, those aren't those kind of bees. All over my hand. Well, it's true. The latest generation of product isn't always superior to prior generations. In fact, you may find this Q and B buggy. Please report bugs by emailing Talking with Famous People's Q and B report system department. Attention Janet. TWFP's complaint department website.com. Okay? Put as much detail as you can into it's not defensive typology, it's defensible typology. Defensive typology is every typology that's not defensible. It's the alternative to defensive. I mean, you wouldn't be the first spider monkey to do that, Jeffrey. People attack me all the time. You know, I've ridden out so many storms on this channel that I really don't worry about spider monkeys and their capacity to do me ill. I did more maybe at first. There was a period of time when I was sad because I saw some of them successfully doing some alright. It seemed intuitively such that that was almost certainly the case, that they were pulling off doing me ill, harming my channel and so forth. Managing to get YouTube doubtful of my veracities in some way. But even then, it was kind of interesting because while there was some periodic sadness about it, it made me realize I've never considered success dependent on growth in views, really. While at the same time, in the particular moment, I do consider the difference between individual videos. Those are the metrics for success between individual videos. But what I see as the overall metric of success is being empowered to do what I'm doing right now. And I feel lucky to have the amount of views and attention that I do get, you know. I respect the fact that the marketplace speaks loud and clear about what it wants. There's always this question among YouTubers, well, how good is the algorithm at converting what people actually want and will value into what they end up watching? Well, that's a tricky question to ask. I mean, it's attempting to do that to the best of its ability, because that's the most sensible outcome for it to have, because that's when you're going to get the most accurate linkages between the content and the advertisers. So, obviously, it's not perfect, but you can't really blame the algorithm for your failure, if you're me. when you see the stats on your videos ranging from, thousands to, I rarely get fewer than 100 views on anything anymore, but sometimes it'll take a while to get to 100. Take a week or two to get to 100. Sometimes I'll linger down there like 80 or something. That's about as low as I get on any video. But then on the videos that end up being popular, well, most typing sessions get somewhere between 400 and 1,000 views. And shorts frequently top 1,000 views, but they don't count for monetization. Well, I'm not really competing with anybody as a financial threat, right? I think the reality is YouTube's smart enough to underweight accounts like this one, right? Whatever they say. Because if somebody starts a brand new account, and YouTube's aware of how many accounts somebody has, and then proceeds to immediately report a bunch of people, YouTube's smart enough to have that factored into the algorithm, or report one person a bunch of times, let's say. So I'm not too worried about spite monkeys outsmarting the YouTube algorithm, really. Although I get that the more concerted effort they put into defaming and or lying about me or whatever, that, well, it depends. I'm not sure exactly what happens. When that cyborg touchdown thing came out today, what I saw was a lot of people responding to it in intelligent, clear, negationary ways. I didn't see anybody supporting it. It seems pretty obvious that he's not being honest, he's being provocative, that he was successfully provocative and that he got a lot of response, but the problem those kind of provocateurs have is for it to work against me, I have to find the process of responding to that provocation onerous or regrettable later. And even if it's intended to provoke, as long as the exchange produces something that works from my perspective, which is say I've addressed it well, I've addressed it properly so that it's clear, it diminishes the effectiveness of what's being said or whatever, then I don't necessarily mind doing that. I don't always, but would you like me to put something there for you, Jeffrey? Do you need some pretty pictures? Okay. We got to make sure that the people who like a lot of data through their eyes have their needs met as well. It's so terribly important. And I'm quick to really care about someone, so I'm already very concerned about the well-being of Jeffrey Liu and his very real and distinct identity, and the sad and significant reality that he too suffers, as do we all, beneath the oppressive reign of the human condition. God bless America. Amen. There you go. That's pretty peaceful too. It's just me and Rachel sitting in a tree. Hugging. Taking a couple pictures. Wee. Sitting on Mount Wilson's trail's knee. I am rarely looking at the screen. Instead, I look through the screen into the soul of Eric, into the soul of my fellow chatters, and I say, "Here, let me rip those out of you." Ooh, you want me to do another picture instead? This will be fun. You're going to love this picture. You know why? Because it's like branding or something. Everybody loves branding. Hey guys, you want to enjoy some branding? Does anybody ever really enjoy branding? Oh yeah. Branding's the best. Logos, branding, the whole 9 yards. Who doesn't love branding? Nobody? Correct. Nobody doesn't love branding. So if you don't love branding, then you are nobody. Can't dispute with that logic. Actually, you could by simply pointing out it's an equivocation fallacy, but that's fine. I agree with you. You can't dispute my logic, because I don't want you to. Oh yeah, what's that thing? This thing right here that we're talking about. Defensible typology in your face. If you like faces and you love things, and you like pictures like diamond rings, you'll love this picture right here for sure. Especially if you like branding too, like a branding tour of brands. Brand my tour with all of your brands. Give me your brands, throw them in the sands, put them inside of my glands. I need brands. Yeah. Look at me and my brands. Wee-hee-hee. Oh, brands. Okay, I'm tired of branding now. Let's debrand. I'm going to debrand your face. I'm going to use the part of your face that I used to debrand. I'm going to rebrand my own face. How? With the spirits of horse racing. Everybody loves the spirits of horse racing. Yes, indeed they do. Unfortunately, this picture seems kind of blurry, and I don't think we want that to do. Let me find another picture of horse racing inside my thingy-jing. Perhaps then you'll understand why I have to sing it is zing, zing, zing. Horses move their feet, then their legs, striding down the way, going with their way. On their back there sits a little man, and he whips them with his hand. The wonderful world of horse racing. Oh sure, some people call it mean. But you know what I say? Those horses don't think it's mean. They're not unhappy. You know, they like it. You might not think so. Oh my goodness. You know what these are? I think we all know what these are. Yes, I think we do. I think we all know what these things are. These important things. Let's talk seriously about irregularity, because it is important not to lie to ourselves about how important irregularity is, okay? So if you're currently lying to yourself about irregularity, please stop. Image 2, why won't you move? There you go. I need one of the little rocks there. Here we go. Pia. Okay, there we go. And then Piao. Aren't we lucky, guys? Aren't we so lucky to get some fresh blood around here? Especially somebody who's just brand new to YouTube. We're like the beneficiary of the Jeffrey Lou Treasure Award recipients. Oh, cool. So I want to talk specifically about this region right here. This is an area that I think it really gets under-discussed from a dry medical anthropological perspective like mine. So one of the things that happens in the world is some people have what's known as protrusions, chestral lactal protrusions, they're sometimes called. And they're specific generally to women. They look like this. It starts basically up here. You can't really see my cursor, can you? It starts up. I need a cursor that shows up. Can you see the cursor? Starts right up here. These are what are known as bosoms, or you might call chest protection. You might refer to them as heaving mounds of womanhood. You might call them shirt stuffers. You might call them photo takeovers as well. Because this is a very nice picture of the racetrack, but as I pulled it up here, I noticed that two things really dominated the picture, despite their relative lack of importance in the overall layout of the picture. So it sounds pretty annoying to have boobs. Well, I mean, I'm sure it sounds annoying to have a package to a woman. And it is kind of annoying. It's like I do have to readjust myself a lot. Like, They impede mobility and balance, and be mostly functionless until their 30s. Okay, well, you are not doing a good job of imagining possible functionalities for those things, obviously. Because I can think of plenty of functionalities that come to play with early adulthood. you know, functional in that instance would be baby's first Lunchable. But I don't necessarily want to eat lunch off of that, because despite my enthusiasm for the bosom, I'm not a fan of human breast milk, which has a strange kind of gamey flavor. It reminds me a lot of the smell of Jeffrey Lou's foyer. Because you walk in and you're like, wait, what's going on here? A family of moles live in the foyer? There's a nice non-bosom focused picture. Because we wouldn't want to be risque, and we wouldn't want to be objectifying any Woper children. No Woper children objectification is allowed. We will respect, gendered language. We're not going to call them women. We're not going to call them Woperson, because that's too male biased. So we will call them Woper children out of a show of respect. And we will treat them accordingly as Woper children. Oh, nothing's wrong with that person's foyer. I'm talking about you, Jeffrey Lou. I'm talking about your foyer. By which I mean, Jeffrey versus Jeffrey, huh? Okay, well. I don't care anymore. It's up to you. Alright, so as you can see, these horses, they're not abused. They run happy. They're so happy to be running. You guys watch the Kentucky Derby today? Great race. It's quite amazing. The weird thing is the guy who called the race, he basically didn't notice the winner until like 4 strides from the finish line. You didn't hear Rich Strike's name until the race was 2 seconds from being over. It was crazy. I highly recommend you watch it. It's on. If you just put Kentucky Derby 2022, NBC Sports has it available. And I highly recommend it. It's an exciting race. Both Rachel and I were getting chills because the guy was an 81 long shot, paid $163 on a $2 bet. Pretty good, huh? People come around here determined to shit, hoping that it will land at least close to my soup. What they don't understand apparently, this restaurant's for play, and they're ordering food. Yeah, sure, they're rude, and still they keep coming back and hanging around my channel. Think they're crude, but as to say, I do think that about their lack of subtlety. We are, after all, many of us intuitives, and figuring out that kind of bullshit is our kind of bus. Don't mean we're always right, don't mean we're never wrong. Just means that all we've got to do is consult. Plenty skepticism now, appropriate given how this situation supports the bananas worth of anonymity is earth beneath my banana feet. Because 3 bananas equal 1 orange, and an orange comprises 2 pineapples. Yeah, 3 makes up 1 orange, and that comprises 2 pineapples. With 3 bananas making an orange, and an orange making 2 pineapples. We understand the reality that 3 of each of those units articulated when combined make a fruit salad. If you've got given that information, and you know full salad, therefore definitionally is a multiple of exactly 2 oranges. While in how many total of each fruit would there be? Rather complicated song problem if you were not listening carefully throughout, as several components comport together to shout out difficulty as you. Maybe get the answer? The answer is, do you want me to tell the answer? I better tell it before I forget it. The answer is 6 bananas, 2 oranges. No, wait, I'm sorry. 6 oranges, therefore 18 bananas and 12 pineapples combine to answer that question. So I guess you add those all up. 32 fruit. Who loves eating 32 straight fruit? And if you had to eat 32 straight fruits, which fruit would you pick? Well, this song asks you, imagine that you had died and found yourself in purgatory. Turns out there are challenges if you want to get past the pearly gates. And to exacerbate things, you were late. An angel looks at you with no small measure of disdain. What's your name? You tell them. They roll their eyes, they go, it's a shame. We're out of easy challenges, out of the fun ones, out of the ones for favorite sons and daughters, out of ones involving water, out of ones involving making things out of dirt. We only got one contest left, in fact, and it's a bit of a jerk. How can a contest be a jerk? You object most reasonably, and he says the angel does. You see, it's that kind of attitude with me that's giving you this fruity job, the one that nobody else would want, the single hardest and the worst of the challenges. But hey, that's just the shiz that happens in afterlife. Purgatory's not alright. You're not in heaven yet, my son. You got to complete what you've begun, and that means undertaking the following. Heavenly challenge. Hey, everybody waiting in the waiting room, your attention please. Take your attention, put it on screen 3. You're gonna get to watch that guy attempt his bullshit. Remember that one option we all turned down. We laughed and shook our heads around and said, how sad for the guy who ends up with that one. Well, here he is, and he's got to eat 32 fruits in just 3 minutes. He gets to choose what fruits he eats, but he can't choose grapes. Obviously, they're too small and late. He can't choose raisins, he can't choose things that are smaller than a plum or a peach or a ring, but not a ring that's not allowed. After all, that would interfere with how proud he will feel if he can't accomplish eating 32 guavas in just 32 seconds, because the rules have changed. Oh my God, I did it. I ate all those guavas. I I ate them so fast, I basically swallowed. No time to chew them, with fiery swords hanging over my shoulder like boards. It sure didn't seem like these angels really wanted to get me into heaven. But at least they're fair, although unfair. They apply disinterest. Did underwear in the morning, which magically reduces their bias. Oh my God, hooray, I passed. I'm gonna get to go to heaven now. Wait, what? Oh no? I have to do what? Oh, you're right, I see. My stomach's rumbling most painfully, and no diarrhea's allowed in heaven. So I head to the local men's room, and all these cherubs have occupied the room. They filled up each stall with baby supplies and additional things to treat their wings and their little darling eyes. They're chattering in their baby talk as they're fluttering around. I say, excuse me, little cherubs, but if you could land on the ground, I really need to use one of those dolls, because I've got some poop. After all, I just in 32 seconds consumed 32 whole fruit, and the little cherub said, wah wah wah, ba ba ba, we're babies pop, and we obviously cannot understand a word that you're saying. Then they gazed at one another and laughed at the joke, even though it was funny, and poked at the feelings of our hero, who was you, who really still had to now go poo. And the cherub got out of his way eventually, when he threatened to pull down his pants and spray all of them with diarrhea. Now once he's done pooing, returns to the waiting room and discovers his pass has expired. Wait, he says, I ate all those fruits just like you said. Now let me do the thing that was promised would happen to me. I deserve to go up and be free. But the bureaucratic angel smirks. He says, heaven's not for jerks. I don't care what the rules say. You seem self-entitled and mean. I don't like your kind of scene, and I'm trying to keep people like you out. People like me, what's the fuck that mean? He said exactly that, sir. I don't like your cursing, your use of bad words. You take the Lord's name in vain, you talk of turds. You've already sung a song of diarrhea. You've only been here an hour and 3 minutes, and that's not long enough to justify potty jokes. I said, oh, you're so prudy, come on. It's kind of funny regardless. Is it really a sin? And then the angel admitted, maybe not a sin, but certainly not a classy kind of win. Now go sit down and feel shame. That's when the angels used shame gone on me, took me away on a sea of shame, self-loathing and anger. I was angry at fish for disrupting trips by flapping angry at fists for pushing up buttholes on the internet. I have an otter, angry at every wish every child makes. Making your wish does not make you great, and I don't like those cancer option people giving away shit. They've already been victimized by cancer. Your paternalistic gift giving no answer. They don't want your pity and they don't want that shitty responsibility of acting nice. After all, their kids got cancer and is going to die, and now they gotta deal with you happy people while their everybody's a mess, cause their kid's gonna die. But you're just the best, cause you're giving them a prize. Listen, you stupid make-a-wish fucks. You make every single wish a duck, and give every child with cancer some ducks. Give every child with cancer some ducks. If you don't, then you need that's gross. You mean my commentary on Make-A-Wish was a little dark? That's where rhyming sometimes takes you, unfortunately. Because you see fish and fist, they rhyme with wish. So I really didn't have any choice. It was either that or kissed, but I didn't think of kissed in time. Or list, or gist, or blister, mister, fister. Any of those would have been fine too. This is my hat, and you love it because it's so great. This hat gets more fan mail than me, and I get no fan mail. So, pretty impressive for a hat. Makes me wish I were a hat. Eric Bubba Booms, what's going on? Hey, I got on him. What's my mom doing? In Britain, slewing, slowing, showing, going to work and saying, yo, yo, yoing, telling your boss, come on, keep going. I know you and INTP and you slowing. You still need to get your work done, bitch, or I draw these little pictures in this book right here. What a creative, original live stream of mine based on no true events or depicted characters other than fictional ones. What a fantastic stream of consciousness, live stream drawn from no realities. That was so much fun. You disliked it because the pig was old? Old pigs need to be given old pig wheelchairs. The older a pig gets, the more they need to be taken out into the community in a wheelchair and included in things like dinner at the Cheesecake Factory. If your pig's not going with you to the Cheesecake Factory, why not? You want to hear something super un-American. I've discussed it before, but I was reminded of it by going to the Cheesecake Factory recently. I cannot believe it. But the Cheesecake Factory doesn't let you bring your handguns in there. There's a sign outside, a picture of a gun, says, sorry, no guns allowed inside. What if I need to shoot something while I'm eating lunch? It happens. I might, see a deer across the way next to the booth in the corner there. I might have a clean shot. I gotta take that shot. How can you ban me from bringing my God handed it to me handgun into your factory of cheesecakes? It's like, just listen to the name. Cheesecake Factory. We're talking about an industrial zone where gangs and thugs hang out. Of course I need to bring my handgun into the Cheesecake Factory. I mean, even if it's not a factory, cheesecake attracts a lot of robberies. Everybody loves cheesecake. It's probably the second most robbed thing after alcohol. May I see the answer, E? What's the answer to what? How many pigs can I fit in my penis? Depends how big the pigs are. I'd say no more than 3 or 4 dozen. Full-size dogs. My penis is known as a dimension box. Are you familiar with dimension boxes in Fox? Whatever they size they look like out here, you can keep putting more stuff in them indefinitely because the stuff that goes inside of them gets stored in a different time-space dimension. I've got a dimension penis. It has an open cylindrical bit on top that you can unsnap and open it up, and then there's a little hole and like a little scooped out area in there to hide shit in, right? Except once you push it down into there, it disappears into the other dimension. You can, of course, pull it out again, but you probably have to dig around because you can't see in there. It's pitch black. So you put your hand down in there, you can't see your hand anymore. So it doesn't matter if you have a flashlight. It like eats up light down there. Because why? Another dimension. But you can still feel things down there. So it's like, that's not always a good thing if you're not really attentive to where you're keeping things. I realized one day when I reached in there that I left my pet rabbit in there for quite a while without, I'd forgotten about him, and he was dead, and it was as though it made the whole other dimension stink for about a week and a half. But I threw the carcass out, with a proper burial. I put it in a paper bag, it had a bow around it, and then threw it in the dumpster. Anywho, also, don't leave cheese in there. It goes bad really quickly. But other things don't go bad at all. Like, you can put ice cream in there, and even though it's not cold in there, it won't melt. Pretty crazy. Peter didn't teach he's not a dentist. No. He's a Peter. You know, Rachel's a lucky woman because not very many women get to experience the high strangeness of interdimensional sex. It comes along with having a dimension box inside your penis. Of course, she only gets the full effect of it if I have the lid open. And that can be a little tricky because it can break off. It's not very well designed. It's like they didn't make it so you're supposed to take it off. So therefore it can break off, you know. So we got to be careful with that. But the way she puts it is, it's like you're sucking my fallopian tubes with a vacuum cleaner. Suck my fallopian tubes. I accidentally killed a goldfish last night. Speaking of suckage, I put my normal 2-hose strategy of water change, one of which sucks water out and one of which puts water in. And of course, unfortunately what happened is one of the bigger of the yellow goldfish, orange goldfish, got sucked into this hose, but it was too big to go into it. But its face got stuck in it, and the suction was so powerful it couldn't pull itself out. It was so powerful I couldn't pull it out until I took it outside and blew on the other end of the hose. And by the time I'd done that, it was dead. It was a dead fish. So the next time I use that technique, I'm gonna put this mesh stuff I have over the outtake hose with a rubber band around it so the fish don't get sucked into it like that. So does that make you an animal, Aga? Or does it make you a ga? Are you a ga or an animal? Based on that theory. Now we know what Lou de Fay is. Well, if she's a Lou, then that means she's a toilet. If she's a duh, it means she's dumb. And if she's a Fay, it means she's kind of fruity. Nothing wrong with any of those things, Lou de Fay. We know Winston's mom is. She's Win. She's named Stan. And she's Stan's mom. Pretty straightforward. We know what I am. I'm air. That's my job. Being icky. I'm straw, like you feed horses. And I'm ow, like ow. And I'm s, which is the sound of a snake. Eric Strauss. So anyway, with those important words, it nears 1 a.m. I'm going to end this at 1 a.m. because it's always important to end on an even number. Always end on a winning number. If you want to chunder anything other than what I have told you right now. If you think this can find a way to understanding the ways that play things, you're probably wrong. It seems to lack an intuitive quality that's necessary for a song to be worth its weight in B. This one inadequately contains such resonance. Despite all of our rage, I am still the rat in a cage, because of how society, with its profiteering ways, I've end my arbitrary politics and make me rage against the machine. Yes, I'm gonna rage against the machine. That machine makes me mad. Tell its dad that machine is being bad. I rage. I rage against machines when they're being mean, because I am so rageful. Rage against that machine. Rage. It can tell you're being mean. Rage. Don't let it get under your skin. That's how it begins to win. You've got to sustain an infinite, ongoing, constant amount of rage. I'm raging against machines. Rage! Despite your rage, you're still just a rat in a cage. But rage! I said despite your rage. I call that song Rage Against the Machine. It's about a band called Idiots Allowed to Talk Too Much or something? Some title like that. I don't know. Oh, Eric, why are you always saying things like that and making everybody else feel like you think you're better than everybody else by shitting on them for their political stuff because it's stupid? That's not a need to shit on it. You've got to recall some of those you have around. You might call them friends even. Some of them at least might be fond of that ground you're currently shitting on. So don't make fun of crappy stuff, because people who like that stuff don't see from my critique that they're wrong about it. Instead they see that I'm a dick and they don't like me anymore because I've shit upon some garbage and for some reason their favorite band. My favorite band is Kings of Leon. Love the way they jam and they scream. He's such an operatic singer. Oh my God, when he sings that song about sex, he sings it so seriously, I bet, and that makes us all feel cringy. And yet somehow plenty people didn't cringe enough because somehow they became successful. They had that one hit that was totally shit, and the rest of their garbage is even worse. It's a classic example of songs being written by a committee in a band where one person starts a link and they jam with the drummer dropping in and the bassist comes up with his part, and man, there's no songwriting at all. The vocalist is left too tall and order has to put in melody over the crappy stuff that this jamming produces as underlying structure. There is no songwriting to speak of at all. These mother fudgers have fallen into a classic and tragic end. They've fallen into that artistic pitfall. Don't fall in the art pit, don't fall in the art pit. If you do, then you will hit the sharp bit and land on it and stab yourself in the face, leaving permanent markage on your cheeks and your eyebrows, changing the way you look to make it look like you frown, even though you're not frowning, and there's no nerve damage to keep the end of your mouth going down so you look like you frown because of the odd locations of the scars previously indicated. And you say it's not as bad if I actually had these deformities that appear on me, because the ones I have are optical illusions. But slowly we realize the appearance here is just intrusion as much as any bunch of nonsense you could face. Knowledge may be half the race, but appearance makes knowledge chased away by people physical who look at these cars and then pull a conclusion prematurely about the cause of those their things and think that you were born with genetic deformities. They don't get it. They don't want your genetic deformities infecting their bloodline. But you don't even have any genetic deformities. You try to explain this to him, that it's just scars that make it look like you probably did have genetic deformities, and that's probably why your face looked like that. And you can see that it's atypical for such kind of scarring to produce such effect, but there's always a first time and regret. Regardless, you should be able to tell that my capacity is not that of one who would have the kind of deformities you say that I have, because they would produce symptoms I don't have, and it would make no sense therefore for me to have them. And thus I don't. That should clear things up. Should, but it probably won't clear anything up. Clear up my acne. I want my acne to be cleared up, just like the weather. We need to know. We need to see. We need to pen happenings down by our means to judge a logic of life, divisively enlightened, from which we'll rarely budge. People everywhere gather up, enemies outraged at how they miss a sign. How do they set their priorities? These barren, backstabbing entities, ensuing heartache and misery follow necessarily from their savage ways. Insulting, cursing, and Desiree, we're stuck with such petty larceny. We all partition the rectories and call it destruction of the whole damn world. When Julie shares now her limits, hoping Julie will too. Jerry shares for 4 minutes. He just can't share things like they do. Julie always thought that she should have bought too when she had the chance to buy. Judy always thought that she should have, although she all recall she'll die. People everywhere gather up, enemies outraged at how they miss a sign. How do they set their priorities? These foreign backstabbing entities, ensuing heartache and misery follow necessarily from their savage ways. Insulting, cursing, and Desiree, we're stuck with such petty larceny. We all partition the rectories and call it destruction of the whole damn world, not just part of it. Kaboom. Playing songs with my eyes closed, just like I was. A road that had been closed because a volcano covered it with lava. Okay, I do know what I want to play. I want to play this song right here. Oh yeah. I think you know what I'm talking about. What, Tiffany? Could you play that song? Which one? Under the Teddy? It's not called Under the Titty, Tiffany. It's called Wonderful Kitty. Yes, I'll play it for you. I love that song. Me too, Tiffany. You have good taste in music. I know. Wonderful, wonderful kitty. That's not the top of the song. That's the problem. Started with it not scrolled to the top. Now we're cooking with gas. Wonderful, wonderful kitty, having wonderful times. Always cleaning yourself, making sure you got clean lines. Wonderful, wonderful kitty, such wonderful. Starting over. Why? Because I failed. My failure makes me fail, and then I have to unfail. Can't unfail, Eric. Okay, we'll have to not fail in the next opportunity. I mean, what if you fail twice in a row? Well, then I just shut up, Eric. Oh, wonderful, wonderful kitty, having wonderful times. Always cleaning yourself, making sure you got clean lines. Wonderful, wonderful kitty, such a fabulous old friend. And now it's wonderful kitty bedding time again. Just let me pet you, don't walk away. It's petting time. Wonderful, wonderful kitty, having wonderful times. Always cleaning yourself, making sure you got clean lines. But your wonderful kitty is a fabulousness I've never encountered before. And I know that I want to pet my kitty some more. Just let me pet you, don't walk away. It's petting time, hooray. Yeah, it's a Santa Anita race track. We didn't go watch the Derby there today, but you know it's on the screen. It's not obviously held there, but. Anything else I want to play before I stop playing the guitar? Every life lived reaches a time when the road splits in two. There are times, dark times, times of despair, times when it's hard to feel good. That's when I look for my sack full of solvency and that satchel of helpful goods. Satchel of helpful goods, satchel of helpful goods, satchel of helpful goods. Every life lived reaches a time when the road comes to an end. I'm there, will there be anybody else around? Or will I travel all alone? That's when I look for my sacrifice of solvency and that satchel filled up with bones. Yeah, that satchel nothing but home. Satchel of helpful goods, 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 satchel of helpful goods. Satchel of need to go to bed's more like it. It's a very cloudy day in Los Angeles, and today we run out of time. Struggles past, troubles still to come. The day is nearly done. Will someone buy us some more time? Cloudy day in Los Angeles, cloudy day in LA. I'm no sort of evangelist, but I have something to say. Life can strangely be forgiving to those who stay awake all night, and mostly voices say to give in. They'll try to sap your will to find whether I'm supposed to be here or just be unsupported noise. Is sort of based on what I see here, and also on what I avoid. It's a very cloudy day in Los Angeles, and today we run out of time. Struggles past, troubles still to come. The day is nearly done. Will someone buy us some more time? Cloudy day in Los Angeles, cloudy day in LA. I'm no sort of evangelist, but I have something to say, something to say. It's the new ending of that song. It's an experimental ending. It's better that way. Thanks everybody, thank you. Glad to hear you find yourself singing Wonderful Kitty. I believe that everybody should sing Wonderful Kitty all the time, because I know I do. It just demands itself to be sung, right? So, it's probably preliminary to talk about it, but the other thing that came up today, my dad called me aside to have a talk with me about something, which is always means it's not necessarily bad, but it's usually something significant, right? And I would say there's a fairly high likelihood, given the amount of detail he had in the notion he presented to me, that sometime in the next, in about probably 6 months, that Rachel and I are going to be moving to Everett, Washington. Decent chance for that. Because there's a Sunrise facility up there in that city, and my dad wants to. Well, my dad's like his ESTJ on a loan, which is he began this whole thing with his litany of reasons why we've got to get out of California while we can, which is basically that the mega drought is going to the building amount of problems in California are ultimately going to break the housing market. That our house is probably, well, I mean, yeah, basically me and Rachel and my mom would move over there. My mom would move into the nursing home up there. It's the equivalent, the same company that the one running the one down here. And Rachel and I would move into a condo, and my dad would stay down here and deal with getting the house ready for sale, selling this house, and then he'd get, after selling this house, another condo in up in Washington. He just thinks that the sustainability of our current status quo is threatened by various things, and wants to go someplace where water's not a problem and where property values are probably going to continue going up for a while. Yeah, well, they'll be, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to be involved in the selling of it. Delilah and my dad are going to be involved in the selling of it. I'm not going to be involved in the selling of it. Look, you can get a condo um, in Everett for about $350. Houses are about 5 or 6, you know. But the reason Everett's the choice is because it's where there's a Sunrise facility, and where are my cigarettes? I don't know. I think it's fairly likely to happen, and I think Rachel and I are both happy about it. But like I said, it's premature to talk about. It's not a certain thing, but it does appear that we'll be going up to Everett this weekend instead of Mammoth, where we were planning to go. Not that close, really. Everett's 25 miles north of Seattle, which was part of the greater Puget Sound metropolitan area, but it's the cheaper part further away from Seattle. It's on the mouth of a river that opens up into a deep water harbor that's called something Sound, that's a subset of Puget Sound. So it's right on the water. anyhow, uh, so Rachel and I would be living up there in a condo. Um, until my dad sells the house. I could imagine my dad kind of dragging his feet about that process a bit, but I expect it to be at least a year before he moves up there too. He'd have a different condo, obviously, but it's like I like the idea. It made me realize, oh, I'm ready to live by myself again. I don't want to live. I'm tired of living here. Rachel and I need our own space. You know, that's what I realized. And Delilah's gonna move in here when we move up to Washington. Yeah, so it's it's interesting because everything hits at once, as the Spoon song says. Everything was stagnant for a long time, with the channel. It's like the world was just giving Rachel and I time to settle in with each other in some sense, and more. Time to self-indulge beyond that which anybody should be entitled to do, you know? And now I find myself getting back into actual work mode, which means I'm doing more things that I'm thinking are qualifying for yeah, this is one where I grew up for sure. But I feel as though I have less moistness about it because I've been able to spend the last couple of years here and change my understanding of the house, right? Like, my SI links to the house to childhood, sure. But the last couple of years, my linkage to the house has been experienced very differently. It's like this is not my house, and I'm here, and it's what it is. You know, it's me being enabled to be lazy, but uh, it's like now I view the house differently. I have my more recent memories of it, which aren't as which don't have that kind of magical wholeness that childhood memories have. As an adult, you see your home and your family and stuff much more for what it is. I've recognized now how difficult it is to live with my dad. Nothing I really realized as a kid. It's not that there's anything wrong with him or he's a bad guy. It's just you can't help but constantly feel under scrutiny, and it's this little bit of weight that's constantly there when he's here, not out of town, that kind of weighs on you after a while, you know? You know what's interesting, Winston's mom? I was under the impression that that was the case too. But then when I looked at the analytics tonight, it said the last 28 days I've only gained 58 subs. So that's actually not any better than and weaker months, But I find that when I get some shorts that hit, I'll usually see some spikes in subs. Yeah. Like, I understand this house as being now entirely my dad. And I recognize more how important it is that we're here so that he's not alone. But I also recognize that he wants to trade us for Delilah. He wants Delilah. No, not this week. This summer we're going up there. That's the plan right now. This might still fall through, but because of the level of detail of the plan that he presented to me, the idea that he had, and because atypically he really wanted my feedback on it. And my feedback was, I think you're right. That sounds like a great idea. I think everything you're saying is right, and I'm kind of surprised by that because I'm usually the one who is ahead of the curve on things around here anyway, because he's really smart and everything, but when he's ahead of the curve, quote unquote, he's almost always wrong, and his reason for concluding what he thinks he's ahead of the curve on is nutty. Like, Mammoth Lakes got hit by a sequence of earthquakes some point in the 80s. He decided that this was, he experienced multiple of them and they didn't seem to be getting better, and he decided this was going to continue and the housing market was going to collapse, so he sold our condo. After that, of course, the earthquake stopped and housing prices skyrocketed. And I don't blame him. She's an ESTP, he's an ESTJ. Those function types work together a lot better than beneficiary or conflictor. I think it's great the way that my dad and Rachel get along well. It's kind of amazing. My dad's learned to... No, we'll have our own condo. You know. We're buying one condo up there now, and then there'll be some post-house sale set up for Delilah down here, housing-wise, and then he's going to buy a condo up there. Or he may even move into the nursing home. I think that's possibly what he's thinking of doing, right? And then he'll have me and Rachel up there, but in a capacity that he wants us, which is at arm's length more, I think. I think he's happy to have us here right now because he's finishing out the last of his traveling thing. He's been going to Palm Desert, going to the Vegas, going. He was gonna go to Mammoth, but I think he's realized he's exhausted that. And the reason he's exhausted it is because this home base is no longer a good camp location. What used to be abundant opportunities in a lot of different ways to do things he liked to do around here has changed. It's like a lot of people, lakes have no water in them, all the kind of cool stuff that we did as kids, I did when I was a kid, is depressing now because of drought and so forth. And oh yeah, the cat will go with me for sure. Yeah, the cat will go with us, and The real issue is going to be, what are we going to do about Trouble? Because Trouble is now our cat. He's not an inside cat, but he's definitely our cat. He rubs up against my leg. I pet him on the head. He's very talkative. I think he's a Maine Coon. He's like super effy. It's funny how it's all nature and not nurture. It's like, as far as I can tell, when we got here, that cat was completely feral. But he was naturally, and I feed him, and now he's the most. He is so talkative. He has so much to say. He's quite presumptuous too, very bold, but a very good kitty. He wants to be fully loved. Yeah, well, that's what Rachel and I both realized after I came in and talked to her about the conversation, was that we need our own space at this point. It's not that this situation has been bad. It's not been bad at all. I mean, Mrs. Mom, my dad's in charge of this, not me. He already has all of this stuff planned out before he even talked to me. So, what I did was look at pictures of the city and was like, looks nice to me. I mean, I got no problem moving out of Southern California because I like the woods. I like weather. I like cold. I like wilderness nearby. I want to be able to go fishing. I like those things a lot, I like to get outdoors, but getting outdoors around here it just feels dorky to me. It's like, this isn't really outdoors. You're never away from people, You're never off in the wilderness by yourself where you might see a Sasquatch or something. There's always a trail with a lot of people on it. I'll check out Zillow. We'll see what it says. I mean, we go up to Mount Wilson Trail or Bailey's Canyon. We're fairly close to the mountains, so we do have access to quote-unquote wilderness areas, but your point there is well taken, which is the wilderness around here just isn't wild, really. It's crowded with people. Fucking YouTube redirects. Can you just not play YouTube redirect? It makes me want to redirect you into a pile of poo. Then what would you think? Huh, YouTube redirect? Then what would you think? That's a house. Huh. That's a cheap house, but needs a lot of work. That's like in the slums of Everett there. It's one for $200,000. Anyway, we're talking about a condo. My dad priced them at like $350,000. Like, this is probably a condo here, $395,000, $950,000. Oh, look at this one, $275,000, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1,512 square feet. Looks nice. I mean, it's a mobile home, so get a double wide or something, but it's not out of the question. $325,000. 240 studio. It's a little small. $299, 1 bedroom, 1 bath. It's not very many square feet, but we don't need a lot of square feet really. 865 square feet is pretty small though. You get a lot for $55,000. This looks interesting. A 5,998 square foot loft for $239,000. Oh, it's just a lot. I thought it said loft. Yeah, it's just a lot. I misread that. I thought it said loft. It's a shitty lot, too. It's a lot. It's a lot. That's a lot. This lot looks interesting. 48,000. It's on Hat Island. I wonder how much it would cost to build something if you got a lot. Probably more than you'd think. Buy homes for sale. Let's move the boundary out a little bit. Can you move the boundary out? Let's see. Remove boundary. Uh-huh. Draw boundary around Everett. Or we could go to Marysville. It's just above Everett. Or Glacier View. That's just below Everett. Or even Mukilteo. How much area is this that I'm circling? This is kind of a neat website, Winston's Mom. This isn't bad, this. I guess this is a double wide trailer? Is that what this is? apparently. Facts and features. It's a manufactured home. It's not, huh. That's nice too. I mean, I'd be happy with any of these places, really. Since I'm pulling a Tiffany. Oh, wow. I got my house. I live in White House. I got this house for free. You know, that's the truth of the matter. So anyway, that was very boring watching me look at Zillow, I'm sure. But I appreciate you sending me that link. That's an interesting website. Okay, thanks for watching. This is not finalized yet, so it may fall through, who knows. But it seems more likely than not because of the amount of detail my dad had in the idea. It wasn't just a speculative little bit of a test the waters thing, really. He kind of had it pretty well worked out, factoring in a lot of stuff that I normally wouldn't have thought about, until later. Anyway, I gotta split. I gotta go to bed. Like I said, Boba Fett, that's not how Dad operates. Dad doesn't get convinced by Eric to change his plan. He might get convinced by Eric that his plan is bad, but I think it's a good plan. I like this plan. Anyway, so thanks for watching. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese.